Hi everyone, and welcome to Windrider Farm. I'm sure many of you right now may be concerned about the rising cost of food and fuel, and I know folks in our own local community have expressed concern and a need to grow some of their own food this year as a result of those rising costs. But one of the things that some people have mentioned is they're not sure they have enough room to grow enough food to make any real impact on their food budget and food security. So in this video, I'd like to show you some of the high-yield vegetables that you can grow in inexpensive buckets, raised beds, or other containers that can make a real impact on your food budget and food security. The first high-yield vegetable I'd like to show you is green onions. Green onions do very well in raised beds and containers, and they mature in as little as 30 days. They can provide food for a very long period of time. All you do is cut the green tops, allowing the white bulb below to continue to sprout, and they can sprout up to 4 times. The second high-yielding vegetable is kale, and kale grows very well in containers and raised beds and reaches maturity in about 50 days. The outer leaves can be removed and used, leaving the center to continue to grow. They're extremely cold tolerant, and a light frost actually improves their flavor, making them sweeter. The third high-yield crop is spinach, and spinach can mature in as little as 40 days. It can be treated just like kale. You can remove the outer leaves, allowing the center of the plant to continue to grow, thus extending the harvest. The next vegetable is Swiss chard, which also does well in containers and raised beds, and matures in about 50 days. You can treat this like kale and spinach, removing the outer leaves, allowing the center to continue to grow and produce more leaves throughout the season. Swiss chard is often included in edible landscaping planted amongst flowers because of all of the beautiful varieties. The next high-yield vegetable is lettuce, and lettuce can mature in as little as 30 days. Lettuce also does very well in raised beds and containers. If you choose loose-leaf lettuce, you can treat it the same way you do spinach, Swiss chard, and kale, removing the outer leaves, allowing the center to continue to grow for continuous supply throughout the season. There are a lot of beautiful lettuce varieties to choose from, and although they're not as nutritionally dense as the previous vegetables, they're a great addition to any garden. The next vegetable is Asian greens, and there are many different varieties to choose from. They have an average maturity date of 40 days, and most of them are very nutritionally dense. We grow a lot of Asian greens here on our homestead, and baby bok choy is one of our favorites. The next high-yield vegetable is bush beans, and bush beans mature in about 50 days. Bush beans also do very well in containers, and you can put up to 3 plants in a 5-gallon bucket. Another high-yielding vegetable is cherry tomatoes, and cherry tomatoes mature in about 60 days after transplanting outside. Cherry tomatoes can produce a very large amount of fruit during the growing season, and there are so many different varieties that you can choose from. And the good thing about cherry tomatoes, if you're unable to grow any fruit, cherry tomatoes have a very high amount of vitamin C. Another high-yield vegetable is squash, and summer squash, on average, matures in about 60 days. Most of us are familiar with zucchini, but don't overlook some of the other more unusual summer squash that are just as prolific. You can also grow winter squash, but winter squash will require more room. But the good thing about winter squash is you can keep the winter squash for a longer period of time in storage. I hope you found the information in today's video helpful, and I hope it inspired you to work towards your own food security by growing some of the vegetables that we showed you in today's video.